All right, so welcome to the first Adaptive Boxing podcast. All of us coming together. We all know each other for a while, so this is going to be good. We're actually starting an online program at the moment, so we've kind of soft launched, and now we're going for a hard launch this coming Friday. It's exciting, guys, isn't it?
Very. Lots to look forward to.
All right, so everyone knows each other for a long time, but we'll introduce ourselves. So I'm Matthew Errington. I'm the program coordinator for Adaptive Boxing. Been working with Scott for the last nearly 10 years now. It's been a long 10 years.
Very emotional journey, I would say.
And I'll let Kieran, you introduce yourself.
I'm Kieran. I first started as an athlete, and now I'm Adaptive Boxing program lead.
Yeah, and then
I'm Harry. I'm the tech guy who handles all the back-end stuff for Adaptive Boxing.
perfect.
And I'm Scott Welch. I'm the guy that's the reason why these guys are all in this world. And we kind of, me and Matt kind of started this together. Yeah, so
Guys, what we're going to do, talk today about Skool. Sort of like Scott doesn't know too much about it, so we're going to educate him as we go. Because this is the online part. We've been doing it in person all this time. We've been building a good network and a community across sort of like England and the UK now. Now it's time to start opening up to the world.
Go worldwide.
Yeah, go worldwide, get a bigger audience, and really make this what it's started out to be. He's had many faces all the way through. But first of all, I guess the first question, Scott, what is adaptive boxing?
well, adaptive boxing is the sport that I first saw when I went to the SAS versus the American Navy SEALs. Two guys in a wheelchair, one been blown up in Afghan, so one was a former soldier, and the other guy was a trainer with him. And kind of like what I saw was boxing, but it wasn't right, because you can't, for me, the way I saw it was, if you had it as normal boxing, it's too damaging.
Yeah.
I've been in the game for many years, and I've had my friends damaged, and I've seen, one of my dear friends was, he wasn't even knocked out. He got caught with a shot in the amateurs, went down, had a double brain hemorrhage, and that was probably from his fights before as well. He was a real tough kid and used to get involved in heavy, really hard fights and heavy sparring. So I feel that was the first thing I saw. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, it's too hard. I don't think he should.
This was all the way back in 2016,
yeah,
obviously. So
yeah, and my first initial thing was always, it was too hard. It was, for somebody in a wheelchair, I would never want to see somebody knocked out who's in a wheelchair, because he's a disabled guy anyway. So the last thing we want to do is see him with any more.
because
injuries.
no one had actually seen anyone in a wheelchair or disability around boxing. It's quite closed. It's a lot more open now, but it's very closed back then.
Yeah, I've been in boxing, all my life. So for me to see it, I was massively inspired to see two guys in a wheelchair, and I thought, wow. When it first started, I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And then when I saw him taking the punches and I actually see what you see,
and your kind of knowledge of that,
almost
kind of
get knocked out and then come back, and then he almost got caught again, and then I was like, wow, no, this is too heavy. So by the end of it, I was like thinking, Jesus, this is way too hard. And that was my initial thing. So straight away afterwards, I said to him, I spoke to him, didn't know who they were. One was, as I said, one was a former soldier. The other one was a trainer who was working with him. And the trainer had almost knocked him out. And then I said, look, you nearly got knocked out in there, didn't you? He said, yeah,
Well, you got
I
also
did. He
understand-
said, but, and then the trainer piped up and said, oh, well, yeah, but he nearly knocked me out. I said, well,
Is that due to? Do you reckon that's because of the excitement? Because obviously, when you first start boxing, it's quite a high thing. Sort of
no.
like, you know,
Yeah.
What it was is they didn't understand boxing, so they thought boxing's boxing, and they can go out and knock each other out.
knock
you
each
know?
other out. The first thing
So
everyone
that's
thinks. You see it on TV.
I believe they
Yeah.
were trying to knock each other.
You're in the
out,
heavyweights,
you know?
so you know.
Yeah, and they didn't know
knockouts are a normal
they-
thing.
Yeah, they didn't know anything different. So
Yeah.
whether they thought they were boxing and have never been knocked out, I believe they were at the very beginning of their understanding of what
Yeah.
they were doing. They were playing at it. It was just a little exhibition of that. two
It was
guys-
creating opportunity, right? So it was the
Yeah.
first chance it had happened. It was quite a big thing on the night I was there as well.
Yeah.
And sort of, I didn't even know what was going on that night.
Yeah. No, none of us did. So
No.
so when we see it, it was a massive thing to see, and it inspired me. But I just knew that we couldn't have knockout. So I then said to the guy, look, come and see us in Brighton. Come down. I want to have a good chat with you. Explain it. Obviously, they come down. They brought a few down with them. We explained it. They still didn't get it. They still didn't want to do it. But the actual guy did. The guy who was in the wheelchair did.
Yeah.
The guy.
Well, he'd
the
been
guy
rocked a
lost
couple of
his
times,
legs.
right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. He got rocked badly, and he was fully on board with it because he knew that he didn't want to get knocked out. So the second we started putting it together and showing him the different way, the trainer still wasn't on board with it. He didn't get it at all, and but the guy did. So that was the main thing. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, we worked together and carried on going. Introduced it to a lot more people. Got
Yeah,
quite-
because it
quite a
was.
few more
I mean, when
athletes
we
coming
first
across.
started, we had a lot of people coming and going. It was, I mean, we went through lockdown as well, so
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
isolated. We kind of learnt from there that we
Yeah.
needed to almost encourage everyone to come back.
Yeah,
Do you know what?
So
That's
'cause,
when
yeah.
I first got involved.
yeah,
So I first met you two when I play
Yeah.
a few different sports. And
so what was that, 217?
216, 217.
217, yeah.
You guys actually come to my wheelchair basketball training session.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I remember.
Well, that night,
Yeah.
Scott called me about half an hour before,
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, "Look, I've got stuff on. I can't do this."
Yeah.
And then I was like, he always does it to me. He calls me last minute, right, you got to be here. And I'm like, what do you need me? And I was like, look, I can't do it. And he's like, just get here. And then the next thing you know, I'm turning up and sort of, he was already there. I think had he met the team a couple of times already?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, I think I
come
come
along a
first of
few
all.
times.
So I didn't have a clue where I was like, where is it? And I had to I'm rushing over, going to speed limit, obviously. And we turned up and I was like, I've got the boxing bag, I've got all the gloves and everything. And
yeah. That
we're
was
like-
that was the night when I said, right, we're going to do a boxing thing with
Yeah.
him afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, how are we doing this? And he was like, just do it.
And that was literally it. So I remember you come in, so I remember it quite clearly. You come in and you said, right, we were training, just watching. You said, we're around if you want to get involved. Anyway,
We
next
want to
thing,
see. Yeah,
next thing you know, we was all out having a little go.
Yeah,
Some of the guys, it wasn't for them. Fine, sport's
Yeah.
not for everyone. But
Yeah.
that's when I thought, you know what? Afterwards, I'm in.
Yeah.
So after
Yeah.
after the session, I spoke to yourselves again.
Because we were doing little get-togethers every so
That's
often,
it.
weren't we? It
Yeah.
wasn't as organised as it is now. It's more kind of we were like, right, come down. We got a day of it.
Yeah.
I think the most
days.
important thing is the problem with it for quite a long time was everybody thought it was boxing as we know boxing. So
Yeah.
everyone thought that they were still knockouts in, and we hadn't really got it across. We called it a safer boxing program, didn't we, at the very beginning? That's what
Yeah,
we
because that was the
needed.
safer boxing. Because we were like,
So-
how do we make this actually
Show people that it's not.
show people that it's not? It's like it's boxing but different.
Because I was
Yeah.
exactly the same. I thought that actually when you said, you can get involved in this and come on board and as an athlete and help us out, I was like, actually, I laughed. I said, I've got
Yeah.
a disability. I can't do boxing.
Yeah.
I like boxing, but I don't want to get my head punched in,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then now, as it's progressed, I think actually we've got
Yeah.
a safer style, but you realise it's still boxing.
it's
Yeah.
still boxing.
Yeah.
You still got the rules. Still doing we're on exhibitions. We're heading into bouts soon, and
Yeah, but
kind
we're
of
not
engaging. But
we've
it's-
taken away the knockouts,
Yeah.
which is a wonderful thing. I mean, listen, I've been knocked out, so I know you guys haven't been knocked out. But it takes in boxing, to get knocked out in boxing is the worst thing in the world for you. And what it does to you mentally is destroys. It doesn't just destroy the guys. It can destroy their lives. It can destroy their families because they let everything come out. They go into a shell. They go. It's a horrendous thing. And people think it's. I mean, and every week somebody's getting knocked out in these shows, left, right, and centre. So the damage that is being done by them knockouts is a very, very big lot of damage, collateral damage across the board. And when you speak to people who have been knocked out, they can explain it to you and tell you, it doesn't just destroy them at the time, it destroys their whole, everything about them. I mean,
physically and mentally.
Oh, mate, I got knocked out on the 6th of May, 1994. In America on the undercard of Lennox Lewis, big massive fight on the boardwalk, New Jersey, and Atlantic City, New Jersey, and that whole night is in my head. It'll never leave me. And for me to come back and put myself back into the boxing where I had to, took massive. If it would have been a massive rock, I would have found that rock and hid under it and never come out again.
So
Nobody would have.
Do you think like the team, the coaches, everyone around you helped that as well, kind of getting you back in, or do you think that was kind of a?
No, that's a mental thing. You have to either do it yourself. You're either going to do it yourself or you're not. You're either going to run away or you're going to come back harder.
So we've been working with disability for quite a while, and sort of like you give us a bit of experience as well, Kieran, and understanding what people go through and kind of like some of the troubles with it. I think that's what made adaptive boxing quite kind of special for us, is actually understanding that we need to make sure that people are looked after.
The safety.
We've got to understand day-to-day lives. Like,
that's exactly so what Scott was saying there about the negative impacts. That's actually the positive impacts that it's done for, like when I first come on board as an athlete, I'm still an athlete now.
Yeah.
But that's what drew me in, was actually what it's done for me. So having a disability, it's helped me build my strength, build my confidence, as well as the negative impacts that you could have having the knockout.
So the most important thing for us in everything that we do, and this is what I had to make these guys understand, because you guys are dealing with so much anyway, right, in your head. So
I think it's every day, isn't it?
If there was anything in the knockout, boxing guys, there's been quite a lot of suicides through boxing anyway, right? There is in all sports. Cricket's massive.
It's falling off the cliff, isn't it? It's falling off the cliff and kind of like not being able to pick your life back up.
But if you get knocked out at the end, in your career, that's where it all goes wrong, because if you can't come back from that, you have to carry that with you. So what I'm saying with you guys are dealing with massive things anyway, with disabilities, you've had this, and that's without the family stuff and what's gone on in our whole lives.
We have bad days, but seeing it as well, seeing it with everyone, it's sort of like.
That was Chris. Seeing Chris how he was an amazing man to even be in that ring. So that's what completely blew me away, which I loved. So anyone with disabilities who's dealing with anything, and especially him who was more visually dealing, that was a big thing. He had his legs off. So, that to me kind of blew me away. I went, wow, okay.
To actually come out and actually be there as well in front of a crowd that didn't know about it. They didn't even know. So no one knew. And like coming out and seeing that is kind of, people were like either with it. No one was really with it to begin with. There was no noise. No one knew how to. They didn't know to clap, to cheer, to.
What was that?
Like, are we allowed to cheer for disability boxing? Are we allowed to like when he gets punched in the face? What do we do? Like and then at the end it was like that massive eruption of like
And I think it's
well done.
The thing is, because it's so many people are still finding out about it, and it's new, it's exciting. When you think, adaptive boxing. We've now got, we've built a program over the years And it's when you first come in, it's letting people know that actually we've got various different levels for different people, up to.
I think also one of the biggest things we've learned is also the high, because it is like while you're doing it, you build that high up, and if you don't sustainably hold on to like a little bit of it, you can fall off because you're scared of losing that high as well. Sort of, I think it's being around people. The community in boxing is like almost second to none in certain places. Sort of, I mean, everyone supports each other. I mean, I'm like running the Brighton Hove Boxing Gym is like, you know, you see the kids helping people with chairs. You got the welcoming all the time. Like, I don't think a lot of people expected that straight away.
When I first came boxing, I was terrified. I thought it was going to be completely different. I thought it was going to be like, can't get in the ring now, and it was completely the opposite. Everyone supports each other, and it's almost where you're like punching each other. You almost have more respect for each other too.
Once you get in that ring, you think,
You know, and we've been building the technical side of it all, sort of like everyone was expecting it to be straight in, heavy punching and everything, but actually understanding the dynamic of using the chair.
There's a skill. There's
using
a
like
skill.
your defences, like defence first training to begin with, like, you know, the art of boxing
Once you can
to hit
defend
and not
yourself.
get hit, you know, so sort of
Defence is number one, offence is number two.
so and then kind of developing the whole programme. If like, let's mention the thing, Skool.
Yeah.
Obviously we've got it all online, sort of building it from basics all the way up. It's developing, and we're looking to actually engage a lot of people, given the opportunity to sit at home. And also mentioning it's not just people sitting in chairs.
Yeah.
Like people don't wheelchair users only. If you're at home and you want to sit on the chair, or kind of like different disabilities going on. I mean, what classes have we got going on at the moment?
Yeah, that's our whole thing. We've got a variety of classes from, you know, stand up, wheelchair. We've got people with Parkinson's as part of our team. We've got classes, you know, for people that want to box standing up, people that want to box from a wheelchair. We've got online classes. So it's not all about...
What's amazed at me from the very beginning, you know, we had the blind come down when he nearly knocked my tooth.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Hit the pad.
I remember that so well. So Scott was, you know, I was working with a guy that was blind, and Scott come in, and he said, let me have a watch.
I was talking to him, and he was looking at me, so I knew it was a blind class, but because he was looking at me so intently in the eyes, and I'm talking to him, and then he's got his gloves on, we're all ready to go, and I've said, give me the pads, give me the pads. I've held the pads up, thinking he's going to follow the pads, and he's hit me straight through the middle where the voice was coming from, straight in my tooth. And I think he knocked my tooth back and blood come out of the tooth. So
from that day forward, your defence is
learned very quickly to keep them pads a bit closer. Right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, because that's the thing as well, is it's seeing people come in and adapt very quickly. It's like the understanding that actually boxing is so accessible if done right and with the right people and the right community, and understanding that it's not boxing as we know it. It's actually it's almost more inspiring. You're seeing people through a daily struggle then come in and like put in that effort where, like, you know, boxing is one of the hardest sports out there. You've got so many different things that you have to do. You've got to get your cardio fitness, your strength. You've got to get your proprioceptive parts going with your throwing, your catching, your head movement, and you're doing it all at the same time. And then you'll be talking to people and understanding that they're going through day-to-day struggles as well. I mean, I've heard some fantastic stories since starting it. And people just come in and like just getting on with it.
Yeah.
And then like you hear it and they're like, "This is what I needed. That I actually needed this in my day to get me through it."
I think sometimes people think, "Oh, you've got a disability, bless you." Actually, people have different reasons for doing things. It's almost when you come down to our boxing gym specifically now, the program we've got, we're aware of the disability, but forget the disability. For that hour, they're a boxer. However, we have to adapt
what
it.
you guys have shown us is there's no disability. I mean, Vic came down, she's telling me she's having both her legs, she's got to have both her legs cut off. I mean, and she's saying it with a smile on her face and going, yeah, you know, whenever it'll be.
Yeah, it'll be
I
easy.
mean, how do you deal with that? It's just incredible. So because you guys are dealing with so much anyway, it's just another. Oh yeah, well,
You just
I'm
get
going to
on with it,
lose my
yeah.
legs tomorrow. But I mean, and that's what's the most amazing thing that has shown us all about how great you are. You know, that's, you know, to be able to deal with it and still go on. So we think we're good, and this
Our day-to-day struggle. Our day-to-day struggle.
we think
hard.
we've got
You
we
know.
think we've got problems,
Exactly.
right? Dealing with the shit that we deal with, right? But you guys are softer scale. So that's what's amazing, and that's the most amazing thing that we're doing here.
What we also have is like, we have our different classes within our pathway. So we've got our inclusive bit, but we've also, like, you know, we've got our elite sports side.
Yeah.
So for people with disabilities, I use me as an example.
Yeah.
I've had a disability since birth. Forget the disability, I'll crack on with it.
Is what it is. It's,
Yeah.
you know, every single day we go through different things. Is we need to understand what that day is going to be like.
I remember-
And actually, the reason why adaptive boxing is so important is because everyone else gets to enjoy boxing.
Yeah.
Everyone else gets to come down. Why
Why
not?
can't we just change it up a little bit?
Why
have
not?
anyone
And
in?
I mean, that's what's been created. So sort of like the building of the school was very much an opportunity to make this a wider project. you
Bring
know.
people together.
Bring the community together. I mean, when Harry came and spoke to me, and sort of like, you know, technology isn't always our best
Proposed
forte
the
in
idea.
boxing. You know, it's not exactly the most technologically advanced sport. But when you came, I was like, well, this could be utilised for what we've got,
Something
and
we can
and
do,
how many
yeah,
people
yeah.
are isolated. Let's go back to the COVID. It's been years since, but is
Also-
everyone actually out in the community yet?
I don't think, like, before Brighton Hove, I've never seen other boxing gyms include this. So where before it'd be like you have to obviously come there in person. If you can't get there and you wanted to box, now it's online.
Do you know
Anyone around the world can get
And
involved.
that is like our motto is actually, you know, remove the barriers to boxing.
Yeah.
Recognising the strength in every person. So that by creating this school, we're just removing another barrier. Really, it's
Yeah, it's online.
Yeah,
Anyone can
brilliant.
access it at any time.
Yeah, so what to expect? Obviously, we're teaching you, Scott, now as well while we're going along. You obviously started it, and we're telling you exactly what's in it. But what to expect is kind of like you're going to be taught from the start, sort of like your boxing. You're going to be introduced into stretching, it's like looking after yourself. The main thing is to look after yourself.
Yeah.
Sort of like we got to make sure that people are prepared for the physical activity, learning how to structure a workout, or even just following the workout that's on there. If you want to just practice one part, you've got your different skills on there.
Specific.
The main thing as well is there's a community. So it's everyone
that's
having
the biggest thing.
You know, the same goal but different struggles. You've got your accountability part. There's going to be some nutrition goals as well. So sort of like people can learn a bit about nutrition. Maybe
Giveaways and competitions.
giveaways and
Yeah.
competitions. But it's also obviously being an adaptive program, dealing with disability is also everyone has different disabilities. So there might be some knowledge that can be shared that maybe can help people who have like lived longer, got more experience, or maybe some people have found a way to get through a day in a different way, or
so
maybe
they can share the knowledge. And
share the knowledge as
what's
well.
going to be so good, I think, is having a worldwide community. It's the
Yeah, and
first ever
people that might not
worldwide
have been able to
community.
relate to someone else before might find someone that they can relate to.
Yeah, and the main thing is sharing that kind of. So
Listen, we've seen what we've done in our community just in that little hub of a gym, right?
It's amazing.
So we've got the amount of we've got 400 members. We've got every different
Disability you can
nationality,
work
every
with, yeah.
different
background, sort of like,
disability
you know,
background. Yeah, I mean, what we've got in that gym now is totally amazing. I mean, look, it's put us lot together.
Oh,
Yeah.
How long have you been in there? How many years?
8 years.
So you've been in there 8 years.
I mean, I remember when you first walked through the door
Yeah.
as a little kid.
So
you know,
that's
and-
right. That's
Like
right. So,
it is like almost like second home down there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
favourite place,
yeah.
especially like when I left school at 14. It came my whole
yeah.
everything, and all like pretty much most of my friends, pretty much all of them are all from the boxing gym.
Yeah.
and that's what you said to me as well. Like, I come down and I use it. Having a disability can be daunting for people.
Yeah.
So I first thought, bloody hell, boxing gym. That's not for me. Everyone's going to be,
Yeah,
big.
exactly
punching
what I
hard.
Not just that. Is our boxing gym? You got to go down a slope, underground.
into
Yeah, and
darkness.
it's dark, and you think, I'm not going to come out of there. But actually, I couldn't have been any further wrong, to be honest. Like, as soon as I was down there, you've got amateurs, we've got pros, we've got now got adaptive athletes, we've got females, and we all just mix in. I'm training with the pros,
we never knew,
amateurs.
right? When we first started doing these, bringing other people into the gyms who weren't boxing people. Once we first started doing that, we had a guy who then ended up working with us. A great guy who ended up working with us, and he actually come down 3 times and couldn't actually walk. We didn't know this, and this was a guy. This was a guy who had no disabilities or anything.
He was called.
Who loves boxing, absolute boxing nut. Walked down the slope, got to the literally doorway, could hear all the noise come, everything, and the anxiety and the nerves got him, and he went back 3 times. And it was only the fact that
we kept calling. We kept calling back.
We kept calling him, but on the last, Matt couldn't do it. He put a girl in to do the calls. She called him, and he said, I couldn't. She called me, and I couldn't tell her no, I couldn't go. So I said, oh yeah, I'll be there tomorrow night. She said, okay, well make sure you are. And because it was a girl, he then walked across the line, and he told me the story, and I was like, wow, I didn't know there was even.
And that is,
and that's a big mental
powerful
thing. So yeah.
As soon as that's the most important thing, I think. What we've got at the moment, where we've built to, even now still, once we can make people realise, actually, just come down. It's nice and friendly. Getting through that door is the hardest bit. As soon as they start boxing, as soon as we adapt the boxing to suit them, it's then actually they think, forget that, I'm a boxer.
I think that's what's going to be. It's going to be powerful about Skool is because you're actually preparing people before they walk into a place as well.
Yeah.
So you can do it in the comfort of your own environment. You can actually
slowly
make the mistakes without feeling like everyone's looking at you. I mean,
it's not like a conversation.
I mean, the amount of people in a boxing gym that are hesitant because they're worried about making a mistake, but every single person's made a mistake, and you're standing there like,
really
if you think that everyone is watching you, you're making a mistake. They're not. They're looking at you to worry that they're making the same mistake.
Even I went through.
Like the first time shadow boxing, you think everyone's looking at me thinking, what is he doing? And in reality, no one's even paying.
Everyone's thinking the same thing. I hope no one's looking at me. You know? So sort of, I think that's the great thing about it is actually giving the opportunity for removing that barrier where we give the opportunity for people at home to be able to learn it, to kind of make those mistakes without someone seeing you, while also then having the online classes.
Yeah,
so actually having contact with a coach before actually going into a gym. And if they're in certain areas and maybe sort of this is the future plans of it, is to actually then help physical locations become more available to communities, because if there's a need, provide the solution.
Also too, if you're nervous to get involved with weekly Q&As, you can ask questions,
just drop us a message on the Skool,
what you want to know.
So realistically, we've got some quite lofty goals of it.
Yeah.
We're trying to get worldwide. We're, not trying, we're going to. We're going to. And I think that's the main thing is kind of, this is a growing project that we're really looking forward to putting out there. We've seen the power of what it does in a physical location. We've seen sort of the benefits to everyone, but we also know what kind of problems are going to come about as well. So
trial and error, isn't it?
Trial and error, and then what we're going to do is we're going to learn together. We're going to sort of see a lot of different people. There's going to be a whole different community to what we've got already. But actually, we're prepared for the challenge. We've been doing this for a long time. I mean,
we will build the biggest community in the world.
Take over.
That's the goal.
We're building a sport, aren't we?
So, I mean, because we had a few bits to talk about as well. Sort of, kind of who's it for? That was one of the points. Sort of I think that people are a bit worried about, is it for me? I mean, if you're looking at it, then probably
just
I mean, if you've been sitting in the chair getting filmed this whole time, sort of
I found it quite interesting, So I'm a very sporty person, very competitive person. I like to challenge myself, but then also when you said to me, right, we need to get these video clips, I said, yeah, let's do it. Jumped in the chair, boom. Camera on me. They said, can you do this workout? Can you do that move? We've literally broken.
Because you are the expert.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about the guy who come down in the electric wheelchair that then lost a load of weight and then got in the other.
Oh,
chair as
Gordon.
well.
Yeah. So honestly, we throughout our program we have so many. We could have hundreds, honestly, of different success stories or individual stories. But the one that Scott you're talking about here is Gordon. So I was doing a 1-to-1 session with Gordon.
An older guy.
Yeah, he's older. Was a slightly bigger guy.
Yeah.
He won't mind me saying that. And he was in a power chair. And he first got in touch with me because I was just pushing along the seafront in the wheelchair. It was a nice day. Anyway, I had a chat with him. He said, "Oh, what's adaptive boxing?" I had it on my back. By the time I got back to the gym, well...
he signed up for a double session.
Yeah, that's it. He booked
and you
in
said
for
maybe
2
start with
sessions.
just the one.
I called him out. I said, "Listen, Gord, I'll be honest with you here. It's buzzing that you've booked in for 2 sessions, but to start with, let's just do the one." Anyway, give it back to him. He come down and he said, "Can I box?" I said, "Of course you can." Anyway, sit there. Let's start by hitting some pads. First session, hit the pads, work with him. He kept coming. We kept developing.
Was he a man in his 40s or 50s? 40s?
Good question. I don't think I'm going to guess that one.
Yeah,
You're not gonna guess?
40s.
No, I'm not going to guess. No. Anyway, so we kept developing weekly. You know, I said, "I'm here, you know where I am. If you need anything, I'm your coach. Hit me up." And, moving on to where Scott is talking about. We got to a stage where, bearing in mind, Gordon started in a power chair.
Yeah.
He said, we were working things out, and he goes, I said to me, "God, can you get in that chair there? It's a manual wheelchair." He said, "Dunno, let's have a go." Anyway, we went under the ropes into the ring. At this point, we'd built on his strength, his core.
Started to do the exercise.
Yeah, he was doing all the strength conditioning stuff with him. He got in the manual chair. Now for him, that's the first time he'd ever sat in a manual wheelchair without the support of an electric chair. Anyway, we moved on. A couple of sessions later, "Here, Gord, should we have a little spar?" We ended up, I was moving around, working with Gordon. He was throwing punches, defending punches, working with me
moving the
in a
wheelchair,
controlled way, in the ring.
Yeah.
For him, he was a boxer in a manual wheelchair.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was thinking, blimey. I said to me, "Gord, look back to where we started. You were in a power chair doing this. Now we've just got in the ring in a manual chair and had a controlled technical spar."
And he'd lost about
It's
3 or
crazy.
4 stone.
Yeah, that was it.
So,
And we got out.
That was the bit that got me. This next part.
Yeah, so we got out of the ring after. And he said, "Oh, I've got something to tell you." And I think this is the bit you were talking about, Scott. I said, "Go on, Gord." He said, "When I first got my electric chair," he said, "I haven't adjusted the belt since training with you." I said, "Okay." He said, "Watch this." He said, "Let's see how I'm doing." He got back in the chair, his electric chair, and this belt, no word of a lie, was out here. I said, "Mate, it's pointless having that belt." He said, "Honestly, this belt, you could have fit 3 of him in the chair. It was out here." And he said, "Mate," he said, "that is just from training with you guys, being around, having the support of the gym." He said, "Who would have thought, just from going for a push, that this is where I would be?" And I thought, wow, that is why, like you say, that is why we do what we do.
We've got to do what we do, definitely.
Not everybody, some people want to compete, other people do it for the fun, the fitness, and just to make themselves feel
He
better.
grew massively. He lost weight. It was great for his mental health, and that's what the whole reason why.
That's the whole goal we do.
I think one of my favourite ones, I think it was from what Luke said. I may not come down with a smile, but I certainly leave with a smile.
Yeah, that's enough for me.
Yeah, there's hundreds of success stories and individual stories, and every one is just, you think, wow. For us, it's what we do, but for them, making that small difference, is huge. It's life changing. It could be life changing for them.
I mean, to be honest, for me, it's like I didn't expect. If I looked back and going back 10 years when I first started with Scott, like if you told me I'd be here now doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't have a clue. I mean, I don't think even you would have a
If you'd
clue.
have told
Like,
me, no.
And well, you.
Yeah, when I first came back, when I first came down.
Yeah, all we've done is we're kind of fallen into it. We've been guided into it. Is that,
I mean, like bringing Kieran, you on full time as well. That was like
yeah.
a big step. Like we're like, right, what are we gonna do? And I was like, I don't know.
See what
Let's
happens.
see what happens.
And do you know what? That is the nice thing about our program. Sometimes you can plan everything so much, one little thing goes wrong and it's ruined. Actually, we've got our plans in place, we've got our targets, but we just sort of flow with it and individually work out what works for everyone to.
Yeah, I think like working with you, it's like every day we're kind of like looking at programs. Some days they're slow. You're thinking, right, what's next?
Yeah.
And then you kind of like, right, we've been working at this. Where are we with it? Where's the courses? Where are we going with different bits? And then suddenly we'll get a phone call. So like you might call me and go, I've just had a really interesting phone call. Actually, this is the next step. And I'm like, right, well, actually, we've got this all in place because we're sitting here ready,
So we're
waiting
ready to go, yeah.
And then when you came to me, I was like, let's get this going. Like,
Digitalise it and bring it
I think I
worldwide.
called you after. You came into the gym and you'd been training. And
It's been a massive jigsaw.
Yeah,
Hasn't it?
he showed me the thing. I was like, you know what? I know you want to do something with that,
And
but
it's fitting.
I can put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think then kind of we've got a whole team around in the office.
It's the easiest way to bring it worldwide too.
Yeah. And then kind of like we were like, right, what do we need? Where do we need to put it? So all these different programs, which you'll see if you do visit it, there'll be a link to it when it gets hard released on the what date's it going to be? 23rd, Friday, 23rd. So that's going to be an exciting day. Keep an eye on it. Social media is going to give little bits of it. We're going to be putting out workouts. We're going to be putting out different parts. So look, guys, if I can say anything to the public outside of here, just
Come and have a go.
Come and have a look. Come and have a little go. And talk to us as well. Send a message if you're a little bit hesitant. But, as you can see, we've got a real big team here to get this going.
They can do everything from a chair as well, can't they?
Yeah.
In theory.
Don't even need a
Start
wheelchair.
with
You can do it in a chair, like just sitting on a chair at home. You don't have to have a sports chair.
Do it sat on the floor, probably. However you need,
However you need to do it. And if you feel like you can't adapt it,
message us.
give us a call. We're happy to help. And then let's get it going.
There's so much detail in it too. Like it's not just about punching. There's like everything, movement, boxing, workouts, like core, all the resistance bands, like everything. Like,
I said this to you guys before, but please, most of the videos that like we're talking about are filming with me. I realise now I have the worst tan lines going.
Nah, you'll be right.
Yeah.
Just make a comment on every single one. If they're at home. But so that's the school. But realistically, the big future, we want to turn this into a sport. We're turning this, again, not trying. We are turning this into a sport.
Yeah, we've got people.
That is the goal. We are working towards it, and we've been resilient as ever for it.
Everything's in place. We're talking to the right people. Everything's moving forward, and we've got the right people behind us. So, there's no.
It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what
I can't
the
wait.
near future brings. Really, we've been working hard at this. Everyone's along the same path. We're really building this. I think it's
very excited for the hard launch.
Yeah.
If I could say one thing, it would just be almost don't worry about your disability stopping you from getting involved. Just talk to us, just message us. We'll get you down. We'll be able to adapt it. Whether you want to, you don't even have to come down. Just do it online on our school. Whether you want to do it for fun or whether you actually want to compete, like myself in the future. Forget the disability. You're exactly the same as anyone else. People are competitive. So we've got somewhere within our program for you.
There's always somewhere to start.
Exactly. Everybody starts somewhere. So don't worry about if you've got no experience, if you've got loads, it's not a problem.
Right. So I think what we need to discuss really, because I think people need to know at home, especially from yourselves, and sort of like, boxing's quite a closed community, but it's also one of the most open communities, because I think it's closed in the sense of it being quite intimidating.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone thinks everyone's a roughy tufty kind of guy who's gonna.
Let me just give a little brief background on that. So on this boxing. So I've been in that gym now 40 years. You know.
But you told me you were 35.
Yeah. 36 now. Right. So, yeah, actually, it wasn't 40 years, it was 10 years. But in 10 years ago, when I walked down that slope, it was purely a hardened boxing gym. You know, people were getting knocked out every night. The canvas was covered in blood. The buckets were full of blood. There was blood everywhere. There was, you know, people were losing teeth, getting cut. You know, it was serious. The gloves had thumbs missing. Nobody bought their own gloves. You just used what was there. And the gloves were in such a bad state.
Yes.
I swear to God. And you know the little leather ones?
Yeah.
Most of the bag gloves were them. So you were bare knuckle hitting the bags type thing. You know, 40 years, everything changes.
I mean, and then fast forward now.
So that for me to now have that gym now, and there's not a lot. There's hard, I mean, I don't know when the last time was I saw somebody get hurt in there, which is fantastic. You know, blood. Yeah, we get the odd nosebleed here and there, but you don't get much. You know, it's incredible. So you know the head guards are better, the gloves are better, everything's so much better. But now you've got a massive community, which is something that, you know, we had probably 15 guys in that gym.
I mean, I'm
No
talking
girls,
even 10 years ago.
nothing.
When
You
I
know,
first
yeah,
walked down
yeah.
10 years ago, I mean, I got told, yeah, come down, have a look, you know, come down, join in and do a bit of coaching with the juniors. I walked in and it was like just a free-for-all. I was like, what's going on? Like, yeah, just jump in. I'm like, where am I jumping into?
Where do I
You know,
start?
you had like, what did we have? We had maybe 10, 15 boxers in there. You had some people who do some keep fit, but it was very much a kind of, you kind of had either a son or someone you knew doing boxing, and then you would then jump into a class. Like they would invite you down. It was almost like an invite only sort of like it just ran on goodwill and kind of a lot of volunteering and kind of like people used to
Yeah,
donate
it was all
money to go.
free.
You know,
Everything was free, wasn't it?
yeah.
So,
And then I was like, where's the organisation in this? Like, it was like, how can we improve this? And it was like, right, well, let's start getting some details. Let's start understanding who's in the gym. We built the kids a lot bigger. I mean, the kids' classes start turning into 30, 40 strong. Then we had more boxers coming on board, coaches for travelling. I mean, you were travelling already up and down the country.
It was purely a boxing gym before that. Now we're.
Well, it was a fight gym.
Yeah,
It was a fight gym, and then sort of you start adding on the community on top,
Yeah.
making sure that you still had the competitive side, because obviously that's what the reputation of a gym is. You need that as well. That's the exciting side. I mean, that's why we aim for that competitive side in all levels. And then we had like more programs allowing sort of like using power of social media and other parts to start getting more members in, and understanding that actually you can achieve a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you'd achieve as much as we had if we didn't expand that
community.
community.
Look at our community. I mean, let's take you. You come down there for a bit of fitness training.
Yeah.
Really.
I remember too,
yeah.
my dad took me to the wrong gym at first.
Yeah.
I was like, Dad, this ain't the right one. He was like, shut up and get in there, it is. And I came out with, Dad, that's not the right one. He went, do you like it? I went, yeah, I like it, but I want to go to the other one.
Yeah.
I mean, and then watching sort of like yourself grow through it as well. Like
Yeah, I was like, I think 13 or 14.
Yeah,
now
turning
I'm
from
21.
from a timid kid to turning into now you come down.
What
This
would
whole
you
community.
say? What it did for you?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
the lessons that a boxing gym teaches is every lesson we need in business. Teaches discipline, respect.
I probably learned
every
more from the
single
boxing
thing.
gym than school.
Yeah. Every fundamental that we need in business is you learn in them gyms. And that's the amazing thing about them.
Yeah, like when you're fighting, if you don't put the runs in the work,
That's
you
right.
ain't going to get the result.
That's right.
I mean, you said you left school at 14.
Yeah.
Sort of like, do you think it helped focus you, give you something to kind of?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It became like my whole, because obviously I didn't see like anyone when I wasn't at school. It came like I look forward to going down there every night, seeing everyone, just all that really, just seeing everyone, being around everyone, and learning stuff really.
Yeah, and then actually competing as well.
Yeah.
Sort of like, tell you going. How many bouts do you have in the amateurs?
5.
5 bouts, yeah.
And I think where I got the come in with a smile and go out with a smile is probably off you, because you've got the biggest smile in the world. Right?
Always smiling.
You come down there with the biggest smile. You
Always
leave
happy
with the
to be
biggest
there.
smile,
Yeah.
So that's an amazing thing. That's what I love about what we do now is, that gym is you can feel the love when you actually
Oh,
walk in
100%.
there,
Oh,
you
as
know,
soon
and
as you go.
everybody gives you high fives and hugs, you know, and everything.
If I have a bad day and then I go down
Incredible.
boxing, come back out, that's why with this, I think it's such a great thing, because imagining, for me,
imagine
not
a
having
massive
that,
community.
not having that, or not thinking that I'd be
Yeah.
able to have that,
To
is,
find it.
yeah, I wouldn't know what to do without it.
To build a community, an online community with people like-minded,
Yeah,
it's going to be incredible.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really
Exciting
looking
times.
forward to the journey. Yeah, incredible.
So let's get a couple of stories, because obviously we've seen so many different inspirational stories. So what I wanted to know, sort of like, for other people to kind of build a bit of experience from, is our experiences of seeing changes in people. So if each of you could, if possible, so either it be in a change or an achievement or something that's kind of like you've seen down the boxing gym. What's your standout moment so far?
Oh, one moment.
One moment. I want a standout moment. So let's go with Kieran. I want to see just what's your standout
Blimey.
moment.
Talk about me going first.
I know. Tell me about it.
For me, do you know what? This might sound pretty cheesy, but my standout moment was a personal one. So the change that it's made to me, from not even being involved in boxing at all, just liking boxing, having my other sports going on, to then find you guys and the boxing gym and the difference it's made for me to go in, wanting to be an athlete, being an athlete, having exhibition bouts, and now being full-time. The change that I've seen in myself is huge. And we see change, like now, if I can pass the experiences that I've got onto other people, then that's what I'm going to do. You know, if I can do it, then anybody can do it, and that's what's so powerful about boxing and what we do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's been many. I mean, from taking kids from nothing to become national champions, Southern County champions, national champions. I mean, it's just seeing the life changes in them. You know, the growing. I mean, they're all young kids when they come to us, and then when they leave, they're young men, and now we've got women as well, which is totally incredible. So, and I was quite concerned about having women in the gym, first of all, obviously, because the girls and young girls, but I believe it's just been absolutely incredible journey. I think we're now even more of a community because of that. So it's great for me to see. I mean, that's probably my biggest
That community
thing, is seeing all the different people we've got in the gym there with the adaptive and disabled and blind, deaf. You know, who would have thought we would have had a gym that can cater for the whole of the different community?
Because we're almost blind to it, because we're in it every single day.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like people coming down and going, wow, you got this many people,
Yeah.
this many different people in there. But actually, our everyday is just seeing that.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Like,
it's
you
not
know,
until you come into it, isn't it? And
Yeah. So you kind of like your standout is kind of
Yeah,
seeing it from where it started when you first walked down that slope
Yeah.
to today.
So little things. The one that really got me was the kid who had the car crash a little while ago, who come down.
Yeah.
I mean, what did he look like when he was so in a bad place?
Yeah, I remember the guy.
Had his head down, wheelchair, gone from an able-bodied person in a horrendous car crash, and now paralysed.
He thought his life was over, didn't he?
Thought his life was completely done, and the smile that we got out of him that day when we just had a few words with him was incredible. That stayed with me, and that'll stay with me for a long time. So to call him out and call him over and then just tell him he's going to be a champ and we're going to get him stronger than ever, and you then turning him around and getting him training
he's now with us every week, and he's part of our program.
Yeah.
Just incredible. So them stories there, you know, they smash most of my other stories. So mentally, and I mean, I'm just. it'll be an amazing thing. So that's what I'm
It's exciting. Eh?
looking forward to seeing.
So Harry, you're kind of on the other side, because you're kind of like, you've come in training, training in the gym, not really coaching or anything, and you see it from the other side. What's your kind of
Probably,
stand-up?
I would say, probably when there's shows on and you just see everyone, because obviously you've got the juniors, seniors, there's quite a few different classes to fit in tech, and then you pack out these places like the Hilton with just everyone, and then you see everyone just come together. Yeah.
So just see, so when all the shows happen, because obviously that's the other side, isn't it? They happen, what we do, maybe 6 a year, which is actually quite a lot for a gym. But we do sort of like all different levels in shows. We would do the amateurs mainly. We do the competitions for the area. I mean, we get exhibition, adaptive bouts on every single one, courtesy of Scott being quite bolshy with it, I think.
We will do this.
We will do this.
We had to be very, look, nobody was interested at first, were they? Nobody wanted it. So,
they didn't know, did they?
and if you let people tell you no, then you're never going to do it.
You're never going to get that change.
One thing in my life that I've built is a strong personality and quite a, listen, if something needs to be done, we've got to get it done, as in everything in life. So people need to see this. So we had to put these shows on. And when we come up against people telling us we can't do it, we just looked at it and said, look, we'll go on 5 minutes before, no problem. And then they were like, well, they can't say anything about it. So
Our show.
we make it happen. So that's what we've done. And that's why we're in this position we're in.
We're leading the way.
And because of that, we want to see everyone. And we want to see more and more people. So we want to build the community. What was the saying, Matt? If we change one person's life, we can change a family. If we can change a family, we can change a community. Change a community, you can change city. If you change a city, you can change a country. End of. And if you change a country, you can change a world.